Didn't think people would. I didn't think people would vote for someone who was so deeply flawed. I know Donald Trump. That's the thing is people. I have his phone number in my phone book. He was the guy.
Disdain for the sanctity of our Constitution, the sanctity of democracy, the sanctity of the rule of law, and the sanctity of the peaceful transfer of power should disqualify him from the office of president.
Leans back in my chair, our wry smile spreading across my face. Well, if it isn't the tale of the ultimate showdown, the one where the icons of American culture, Bruce Springsteen and George Clooney, decided to take on the self-proclaimed greatest president of all time, Donald Trump. Chuckles and shakes head. You see, my dear viewers, when the boss and Hollywood's most effortlessly charming silver fox teamed up to drag the Donald and his better half, Melania, the result was nothing short of comedic gold. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It is free and help us bring you enjoyable content. And of course watch till the end. Leans forward, eyes sparkling with mischief. Imagine the scene. If you will, Trump, the man who's managed to turn the Oval Office into a glittering gold...
The guy that came to the bars and asked me about which cocktail waitress was single.
Plated playhouse, suddenly finding himself at the receiving end of a scathing, yet hilariously on point takedown. Grins impishly, and what could be more patriotic than that, you ask? Chuckles, well, my friends, I'd argue that this is the most American thing to happen since the Boston Tea Party. After all, what could be more quintessentially United States than a couple of cultural icons taking down the self-proclaimed greatest president, with a kind of sarcasm and wit that would make even the most seasoned Slytherin...
In any of your songs, I can find a lot of characters, but I can't find Donald Trump.
That would be, you'd have to search out the Carney Barker, He comes along and he has a simple answer to all these very
proud. Leans back, a satisfied smile spreading across my face. Now, let's dive right in, shall we? Chuckles, it all started with Springsteen, the man who's spent decades crafting anthems for the hardworking,
complex problems, and is telling some of the people the things that they want to hear. Very uncomfortable by the browning of America. Well, we're going to build a wall and keep all those people out. This is basically his campaign, saying it like I'm saying.
Blue-collar Americans that Trump claims to champion. Shakes head in amusement. I didn't think people would vote for someone who was so deeply flawed. The boss quips, his words dripping with the kind of sarcasm that would make even the...
There's this part of you that just goes, well, that guy shouldn't be president. But I was wrong, and he was, and our democracy, I believe, paid a price certainly around...
Most stoic of Slytherins crack a smile. Grins impishly, and just when you think it can't get any better, Clooney chimes in, delivering a scathing critique that would make even the most seasoned political analyst nod in approval. Leans forward, eyes sparkling with excitement. I'm worried about how we celebrate unkindness, Clooney declares, his voice laced with the kind of charming gravitas that would make even the most hardened of Griffinders swoon. Chuckles and shakes head, but wait, there's more. Grins impishly. Clooney goes on to suggest that
he was just this knucklehead. I knew him before he was, a president. He was just a guy who was chasing girls. Every time you went out, he'd come over.
Trump's presidency has been a devastating experience, a clear-eyed assessment that would make even the most diehard of Hufflepuff sit up and take notice. Leans back, a mischievous grin spreading across my face.
And the idea that there's this whole group of people that, that they think he's the champion, which he certainly can't stand in real life. But, he's gonna play this out for a while.
Now, let's talk about the real star of the show, Melania. Chuckles, because you just know that somewhere deep in the gaudy, gold-encrusted halls of Mar-a-Lago, she's sitting on one of those unnecessarily expensive sofas, gazing blankly into the abyss and contemplating the exact series of bad decisions that led her from European runways to this. Grins impishly. Maybe she's practicing her iconic eye roll in the mirror, or maybe...
Well, we'll see where we go with it as a country. My hope is we have a little better sense than to do that.
She's polishing her escape plan. Either way, one thing is clear. Springsteen and Clooney have hit a nerve, and the fallout is going to be nothing short of spectacular. Leans forward, a mischievous glint in my eye, and then there's Trump himself, the man who's probably pacing back and forth in his signature too-tight golf.
He's such a flagrant, toxic narcissist that he wants to take down the entire democratic system with him if he.
And I didn't need little Bruce Springsteen and...
Pants, furiously waving his hands like he's trying to swat away the truth. Chuckles' phone is probably overheating from the sheer volume of incoherent rage posts he's attempting to fire off, each one more unhinged than the last.
Anything's possible. The stewardship of the nation has been thrown away to somebody who doesn't.
Head in amusement. Fake movie actor George Clooney is getting into the act. Trump tweets, his words dripping with the kind of petulance that would make even the most seasoned of Slytherins cringe. Grins impishly, and just when you think it can't get any worse.
I wore the jacket to go on the plane and off the plane, and it was for the people and for the left-wing media who are criticizing me, and I want to show them that I don't care. You criticize whatever you want to say, but it will not stop me to do what I feel it's right.
He follows it up with a rambling, barely coherent interview, insisting that everyone is jealous of him, even George Clooney. The man married to an internationally renowned human rights lawyer who casually vacations at his Italian villa.
And he's such a flagrant, toxic narcissist that he wants to take down the entire democratic system with him if he goes. If he could reflect on these things, maybe he'd have...
Leans back, a thoughtful expression on my face, but you know, as much as this whole situation is a hilarious display of political satire, it's also a testament to the power of comedy.
But he's such an unreflective person. And he simply has no sense of decency and no sense of responsibility about him. And the words that he's been using over the past several weeks, really are an attack on the entire democratic process.
And is that dangerous?
Yeah.
In the face of adversity. Nods sagely, you see, Springsteen, Clooney, and the countless other cultural icons who have taken aim at Trump and his ilk are doing more than just providing us with a few good laughs. Chuckles, they're using the power of humor to shine a light on the absurdities and hypocrisies that run rampant in the halls of power. Leans forward, a spark of inspiration in my eyes. It's the kind of comedy that doesn't just elicit a few laughs, but that also serves as a rallying cry for those who are fed up with the constant barrage of political shenanigans and hypocrisies that seem to plague our world. Grins impishly, and let's be honest, in a world where the line between reality and fantasy is often blurred,
I'm worried about the coarsening of America. I'm worried about how we celebrate unkindness. So I look at where we are, this sort of portioning of our discourse, and I find it to be worrying. It's all scary, just because there is a world where I didn't think people would vote for someone who was so deeply...
Ability to cut through the noise and deliver a well-timed comedic punchline is a true superpower. Nods approvingly so. What do you say, my fellow muggles and witches? Chuckles, are you ready to join the ranks of those who are using the power of comedy to fight back against the Trumps and Melanias of the world? Leans back.
I didn't expect media will be so dishonest and so mean.
A mischievous grin spreading across my face, because when we can laugh in the face of adversity, when we can use the power of comedy to hold those in power accountable, that's when we truly start to see the world for what it is. A place where the absurd and the ridiculous can be transformed into something powerful and inspiring. Grins impishly so. What are you waiting for? Chuckles, grab your omnioculars, pour yourself a butterbeer, and get ready to witness the next chapter in the never-ending saga of the Trump-Melania feud. Winks, trust me, it's going to be a wild ride.